Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, students. Welcome back to my channel. As usual, through this video, I'd like to present about a topic for our class. And today's topic is going to be articulating beliefs in language curriculum and course design. Over here, we will talk a lot about beliefs of teachers, on how that teachers can articulate the beliefs or not, and what are the beliefs of language curriculum and course design needed for a teacher. Here, I will start with my experience. I hope you can understand what belief is by listening to my experience. I had an experience before teaching students at university, but the students were not English education department students, so they are not in our department. But the students were the students at other faculties in our university in Winsuscario. And at the time, I taught them basic English, okay, basic English level. And in that class, I thought English for general purposes, okay, not for specific purposes, but only for daily communication on how that I can use language in their daily communication. And for my syllabus at the time, I tried to have four skills in one, four skills materials for one meeting. They are speaking, listening, reading, and writing. But sometimes I do not have all of the skills in one meeting. I just divide two skills. Okay, two skills for one meeting. The two skill are speaking and listening, if I'm not mistaken. So that's for the first meeting, and the second one I will combine reading and also writing. But sometimes in some occasion, in some meetings, I try to uh, begin my course by having listening and also reading. But before having the skill, I believe that I should not come directly to the skill. For example, listening for a specific topic in that meeting. So I believe that I need to give information. I need to help them to have inputs for the language. So I'll provide them with some vocabularies, some related vocabularies about the topic that we would face or we would learn at that time. So that's my belief. Identifying vocabularies for the related topics it is one of a helpful way for my student. And the second thing, after knowing some vocabularies for the topic, I also provide them with realistic and appropriate English grammar. I mean, relevant English grammar for that topic. So that's my belief. And my belief sometimes, no, sometimes my belief maybe is not appropriate with other lecturers in different classes, but that's my belief at the time. Uh, so can you figure out what belief actually is? Yes, I hope you can understand. So the belief is our thinking. So we have faith in that about our teaching, what decision we think, I mean, the actions for our teaching could be best or appropriate for our class, and you believe that it's gonna work. So that's belief. So if we refer back to the topics for today, articulating beliefs in language curriculum and course design. So the beliefs over here are the knowledge of the teacher itself, and also what else beside the beliefs? I can say thoughts, okay, thinking or view, okay, the view insight that a teacher has for an ideal teaching and learning process. Design, of course. Okay, that's my experience. And up here, I also quoted a sentence from Kathleen Graves. That's on page 26 if you open the book right now. If you are opening the book right now, you can check. Okay, you can check this quotation. Most teachers don't have opportunities to make their beliefs explicit because the institution in which they work do not generally ask them to articulate their beliefs, nor they have placed a value on such articulation. Do you understand this? How you can understand this quote on how that it says over here that every teacher, so not every teacher will have a right freedom or they have liberty to articulate or to do what they believe in for their teaching because of what the reason is because you may see over here sometimes the institution, so the problem is an institution. That's actually not a problem. I'm sorry to say if I say that's a problem. No, that's not a problem actually. But on how a teacher can adapt, okay, adapt with the situation in that school. If you are teaching in a boarding school, of course, that your beliefs from, I mean, the knowledge for public school, you've got to be able to make adjustment and also appropriate techniques which will work in boarding school because like in public school if we compare public and also public with boarding school they will have different different curriculum and they also have different vision and missions and also goals for the students. That's why if you have experiences before and you have beliefs about ideal teaching for your students, maybe you can apply that to your class or maybe not, okay? Or maybe not. It depends on the institution. And please make sure if you have something in mind, you have an ideal view or you have an insight for your teaching, which is best to your student, you think, it would be better if you talk to the person in charge for that institution. In that institution, you can talk to principal, you can talk to people in charge, like uh, the chair of the foundation, if it is a foundation. You can also discuss your beliefs, okay, your beliefs about the ideal teaching for your students to find principle in curriculum, okay? Because if it is in Indonesia, we in every no we but every school will have principal and also five principals. Some vices principal. Um, and one of the five principle uh is for uh is for noticing. Okay, if is for noticing and also uh have a look and also have concern with curriculum. And then I think you can talk to that person because of this, okay? Because Catherine Graves also mentioned over here clearly that most teachers do not have opportunities to make their beliefs explicit because the institution in which they work do not generally ask them to articulate their beliefs, nor they have a place of value in such articulation. So the idea for your beliefs, how to articulate, how to apply your beliefs, uh, you've got to be able to adapt yourself to your adaptation to your school and the condition or the context that we have talked before in previous meeting, so that you will know which belief will be used or which belief you will do. I mean, you will articulate the beliefs for that situation. And in this slide, where beliefs come from? Experience. Does it come from? Does it come from experience? What do you think? Your beliefs. Where does your belief come from? Yes, it could be experience. Okay. Your beliefs can come from your experience, so the things you have experienced before, and you may still be over here. Sorry. There are two boxes here. The first is education and its discourse, and the second one is work experience and the discourse is of the workplace. Your beliefs, not only your beliefs, but also my belief, our beliefs, okay? Our beliefs actually are, our beliefs are actually the collections, okay? The collections of knowledges that we have already received before. So from our experiences in our education. And you should also understand, I think, that a teacher will have different beliefs because they experience different thing, right? Every human being will experience different things in life, in education, and also in its discourse. I mean, in education discourse. Even if you, for example, you are my students, and right now you are sitting in the same class with your friends, but you've got to understand too that your the knowledge you have in your thought, the knowledge that you have in your mind, what you believe in, and what kind of teaching and learning process ideal for you, you yourself will have different overview, different view or different insight with your friends. Even you are sitting in the same class, okay? Even you are sitting in the same class, because the reason is simple because we are human beings. We have our own life. We experience different things, and the thing that we experience and the way we receive that experience, the way we overcome problems, and also the way we live our life. Okay, the way we live our life is not the same as others. Okay, so which one of the beliefs are correct? Which one of the belief is suitable or appropriate and realistic for you? Since you will know later. So the function of beliefs here for your teaching, the main function is to make a decision. Okay, to articulate here means that you will do it in action. Okay, you will do it in action. The way you articulate the beliefs or the way you apply the beliefs, it depends on your beliefs, and also you've got to understand the context. So the context is actually our previous topic, so you've got to be able to combine. Okay, combine the things you have in the previous explanation, the previous topics. And you know, the discourse in education or the experience you have when you were at school, when you were in university, for example, that's going to be very useful for you. Okay, so your belief, specific belief, is actually influenced by many factors. Okay, influenced by many factors. You experience seminars, you experience workshop, you experience speaking, you experience listening, you experience reading, you also experience how to write, okay, how to write in English. And you also have different experience in life, whether your English is used in that discourse, I mean, in your life or not. Of course, that you will have different experience again, right? And at the end, you will have one governed belief in your heart, one governed belief in your mind. Okay. Oh, I like this kind of way of teaching. Oh, I like, if I teach speaking, I'll do this because I think the way you do the decision, the way you apply, or the way you judge something is good or something is not good, you're gonna have to use your previous knowledge, right? Your previous knowledge, your previous experiences. So the prior knowledge you have, you will use those prior knowledges in your teaching, and then you will make a decision for your teaching. So that's actually belief I'm talking about. Okay. And beside education and also discourse, beliefs also come from work experience and the discourses of the workplace. Say that you've done with your education, you've done with education and its discourse. and then you are living as a teacher, so you got a job already, for example. And then when you work and you have already designed teaching and learning for your students, about the methodology for your teaching and others, you will also need the experience. Okay, maybe you will need it or maybe you will not. It depends on the context again. It depends on your situation again. And while you are working as a teacher, of course, that you will also experience, okay, experience many things. Experience how to interact with students, how to facilitate students with materials. I mean, the realistic and appropriate, and also meaningful materials. And of course, that you will experience the successful method in your teaching, or maybe you experience failure in your teaching. Those experiences in your work, okay, in your work will be useful. It will be useful to construct or to build a new beliefs for your next teaching, of course. So this is what work experience and it is courses of the workplace means to construct your beliefs. Well, this is my next slide. For today, my students, I do not have a lot of slides, so I just have some slides. Because I think you also have a lot in TIFL class in micro teaching, maybe about the methodologies of teaching on how that the beliefs or many courses, okay, many courses you have already experienced and you have taken them all. Of course, that you have an ideal view about teaching, an ideal view about learning, an ideal view about student. So the function of student, how you view a teacher, how you view your teaching, and how can you articulate that beliefs, the techniques you will use, the method you will use, and also the strategies which are essential or will be functional for your students later on. You've learned that not in my class actually. So in my class actually we just learn on how that belief will work to your design. When you design a course, for example, when you design a syllabus, when you design a lesson plan, you will use your belief. So that's the idea of this belief. Uh, your belief will influence a lot. I mean, will you will articulate your beliefs, the beliefs you have before in your real design. Okay, when you design a course, when you design your teaching, about what to do with the goals and what to do with the competences and how to teach the materials. Okay, what to teach and how to teach. So you use those beliefs for your design. Okay, you will design this because I believe this, and I will not use this kind of technique because I believe this technique will not work. For example, and you will not let the student learn alone, and you will not let a student, for example, will have their own learning without teacher, even they have an autonomy for their learning. Still, the role of teacher will be significant, will be needed in that class. So that those kind of beliefs you will use to design, okay, to design your course, to design your teaching, to do syllabus and others, other kinds of designs, teaching design. And over here, let's see this slide. I have one, two, three subpoints for process of designing a course. So I have the equivalent mark, okay? So process of designing a course is similar to way, okay? So the process of design, this is the thing that you have to know. When you design a course, it means that it is a way to understand your beliefs, okay? Maybe you are conscious or maybe you're not conscious about the knowledge you have or the beliefs that had been governed in your heart or I mean in your mind. about what kind of beliefs. Maybe this just go as it is, and it's just govern as it is. Okay, without really noticing how your beliefs change. Okay, but actually, this is a very good machine. Your brain is a very good machine to start to manage to filter something, okay, to filter something. Then finally you will have your own beliefs, and when you design a course, that's the time, okay, that's the time to understand your beliefs, okay. To understand your beliefs, you gotta call, okay, you're gonna recall the beliefs you have in the previous years, and then when you design, okay, when you design a course for your students, you will try to understand the beliefs you have when you design, okay, when you design your course. So that's why I'm here. I have the equivalent mark. Process of designing a course means a way to understand your beliefs. So that's the best way to check your understanding. I mean, to check your beliefs, whether the beliefs are suitable for certain condition or not. And besides understanding the beliefs, when you process the design, when you process designing a course, it means that you also practice, okay, how to articulate the beliefs itself. After you understand the beliefs, which one is realistic, which one is suitable, and after you have some consideration for the beliefs, of course you will try to articulate that, right? You will. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit not okay. Uh, After you understand the beliefs, you will try to articulate the beliefs, right? The beliefs. And how could you articulate the beliefs? You will go to number three, okay, basis for making choice. And when you, for example, you have already decided 5 points for your teaching, 5 points, then after that, these 5 points, you will finally do the last decision for the choices you have for application, okay, the way you will apply the choice or the decision you make. So number one, understand. After you understand the beliefs, you will articulate that beliefs, and after you articulate that, and then it's gonna be your basis, okay, the foundation for your choices, the foundation and how that you will decide or make the choice when you're teaching. Okay, over here. There are too many choices. Yeah, sometimes we have more than one choices. Okay, especially female. Like when you go when you go shopping, and then you need to choose, for example, clothes for you. Sometimes a lot of choices you have, right? All of the things or the stuffs in front of you looks good, look good. So how could you decide? How can you decide from the five choices which one is the best? Okay, which one is appropriate? Most appropriate for your teaching. Of course, that you cannot choose too many. Okay, too many for your class, for your teaching, for your design, because you are limited by time. Okay, you are limited by time. In one meeting, if you are teaching at senior high school, you will have 40 minutes, right? 40 minutes for 1 hour, one meeting hour. If English is 2 times in a week, it means that you'll have 90, right? You'll have 90 minutes for one teaching or one meeting. If you have lot of choices, of course, you sometimes it will make you in trouble with the time management. That's why I also wrote over here some questions. How can I design? I mean, the teacher decide the choices, and did I make the right choice? This kind of question is important, to finally choose. Okay, to finally choose which one of the choice that you made is appropriate or that's going to be the best choice for your teaching. So after how can you decide, you will think how you can design the choices. And after that, you ask again, did you really make the choice right? And you've got to think about that. How could you think about it? You will use the beliefs, okay? The beliefs you have. Is it right or is it not right? Okay, you've got to consider a lot before finally choose the best choice. And after that, what is the right choice? What is the right choice? This kind of question, I think it is also important. Okay, important for your choices. What is the right choice? And is there a right choice? Is there a right choice? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. How could I say it so? Because if I say it is right, I do not know the context of your teaching. So you are the one. I mean, the teacher who is teaching that school is the one who knows which one is suitable for that teaching in that occasion or in that situation, in that meeting, or in that semester or in that year. Okay. So up here I come again with next slide. Why did that make the lesson great? This question is also important for checking the beliefs you have with your articulation and the way you met the decision for your design, your course design. This question is to help us uncover our beliefs about teacher and learner's role in classroom or teaching and learning process. Teaching and learning process. I think this is clear. Why did that make the lesson great? So you can ask yourself this kind of questioning yourself when you design a course. This is what we call in the previous video. I mean, in the previous topic, I explained to you. It is called as problematizing. Okay, you problematize yourself for things you think important to make choices to decide the best teaching or the best design for your class. Okay, I think that's clear. And here, a framework for articulating your beliefs. Over here, I have four different boxes. The first box is your view of language. The second one is your view of the social context of language. And the next is your view over here. If you can see my cursor, your view of learning and learners, your view of teaching, okay, your view of teaching. So these four boxes, I think you can train on how to articulate your beliefs. And these 4 points, I mean, these four boxes, the idea from these four boxes are actually not the point I have. This is Kathleen Graves, okay? I got these points from Kathleen Graves. Beliefs about language. So we'll start number one over here, the green, no, the green, this is orange, right? Light orange. And in this orange box, this is your view of language. We'll start with that. Talking about beliefs about language. And here, maybe you need to question yourself, okay? What language actually is. If you design a course for a language class, for a language teaching, you should understand what language actually is for you, okay? What language actually is for you, and what being proficient in language means. Is that speaking without any mistakes? I mean, without any grammatical mistakes, or language is only communication, or language is the rules govern like we talk or we use the language with grammatical rules, with a perfect grammatical rules. I don't know. Okay, so every teacher you will have different views to see what language actually is, what English language actually is for your class. Okay, whether it is also means of communications or that is all about grammar or what. Your belief about language is very important for your teaching and also for your design. Because when you think that language is all about grammars, so we will talk about lexicon, phonology, and others, and also the tenses. If you have the belief about language like that, of course, you maybe you will have the possibility to design a course by asking your students, by asking your students to practice a lot. So you will have drills. For example, simple present, how to do simple present in positive sentence, how to do simple present in negative sentence, how to do negative interrogative sentence in simple present. That kind of drill, or you will check every speaking performance of your students, and by the time you see they did something wrong, you will give suggestions, or you will do another activity for checking their grammars. Okay, so if it is all about grammar, I mean the language you believe is about grammar, it will influence your teaching. So be careful. And if your view about language is communication and how that we use language for communication and without mistakes. So no, it mistake could be with mistakes, or you believe that learning a language with mistake, it will help foreign learners, because teaching or learning English in Indonesia, the context is not as a second language. Okay, the context is foreign language. Even for me, English is not a second language. I do not speak English at home. I do not speak English with my children. I don't even speak English with my husband at home. And when I go to market, I also don't use my English. Wherever I go, I do not use English. So I use English only for specific places in specific situations. I speak English with my students. I speak English with you, my students. So that's only the occasion I have for speaking English, for example. So by the time I see that, I will think about the real function of language itself. Okay, what is my belief, what is your belief, what is our belief about language. You've got to be able to define. When you design a course, you should make sure, you've got to make sure what the language means something. Okay, it means something like grammar or communication or others. Okay, please define that yourself, because your definition and the way you view a language will influence your teaching, will influence the activities for your students, will influence methods you choose, the approach you use in the classroom. Whether you want to use communicative language teaching, for example, or you will use grammar-based teaching. I don't know, okay? So I cannot say someone's belief is wrong, someone's belief is right. It depends on the situation. And the one who knows the real condition of that classroom or that teaching is the teacher teaching that class. So, yes, that's it. That's it. So if you read my next point over here, how the language should be learned with no grammatical errors or what, okay? And in this slide, this is about beliefs about the social context of language. This is actually the second belief that we will learn today. So I have four big boxes here I mentioned. So the first is your view of language. We've done with that. And the second one is your view of the social context of the language. Here it is. Okay. Uh, Having beliefs with experience, or you use your experience in your education or as discourse, or your experience uh, with language, that is English. Your beliefs about the social functions or social context of language is also needed to design a course. When you design a course, you will involve, okay, you will involve your beliefs about social context things. Like over here, I wrote three, and the ideas again, the ideas, actually I have the ideas, but this is actually the subdivision or a summary, kind of summary from Catherine Graves' book. So after I read the book from Catherine Graves, I got these 3 points. For my slides. Look at number one. This number one is social linguistic issues. And do you know what social linguistic issues? If we have to make a definitions or we split this word, I mean, social linguistic become two, we will have socio, and the second word is linguistic, the socio and linguistic, social linguistic. So social linguistic issues. This is going to be all about your views, okay? The issues in linguistic itself, on how they use that linguistic points for your teaching. For example, here, about I need you to command my text and send it back to me. And the way you believe about this writing, okay, I need you, okay, look at here my cursor. I need you to command my text and send it back to me. If this writing is from a student, or this writing is written by a student, what do you think? Is this appropriate if a student send this writing to a lecturer? What do you think? Maybe the choices are not correct. I mean, the choices of words. The way the student write, I need you to command my tasks and send it back to me. If you are teaching in Indonesia, first you will have values on how to respect others, right? On how to respect others, to respect others. If you are speaking or you are writing for your lecturer or your teacher, this kind of writing, I need you to command my tasks. I need you to command my tasks and send it back to me. Of course, this kind of writing is not polite, right? So the issue for sociolinguistic over here is not about the values actually, but you will have the value for the background knowledge, the way you write that. I need you to command my status. It would be better if a student write uh, a polite version of language. So we can change the version of this language. I need you to command my tasks. Maybe the student can write like, would you please give me comments for my tasks so that I can improve my tasks. The kind of sentence, I think, that's much better. That's much better. The choices of words, the linguistic view of that will much better than I need you to command on my tasks. If you say like that, command my tasks, it's just like you order, okay? You order your teacher to give comment. Of course, that's not okay. Not okay at all if you are in Indonesia. Or if you are teaching in boarding school or Islamic university, and then you write this kind of words. I need you to comment to my task, Sally. You say like that to me. Of course, that's not polite. Okay, that's kind of rude, language. So change the linguistic points over here. Change the word. Would you please, ma'am? Would you please help me improve my tasks by commenting the things I have in my tasks? I think that kind of sentence is much better. Okay. And would you please send it back to me? What do you think? Should you order someone, I mean your teacher, to send it back to you? I don't think you need to mention that language, okay? Because if you ask your supervisor, for example, you ask your teacher or you ask your lecturers to give comment to your tasks, I'm pretty sure that they know what to do. They will know what to do. Of course, that they will send it back to you, right? Because teacher, if you are in Indonesia, if teacher is like here in this position and students like here, or the way you view teacher and learner, they are in similar line like this or like this or even like this. It depends on your belief, okay? So your beliefs about linguistic issue will also influence the way you teach your students, what kind of linguistic features you will provide for your students, what kind of lesson you will try to design to your student. Will you include the social linguistic issues in that teaching or not? Will you include like the things I mentioned before about politeness in your language, politeness in the way you write something or you speak something to someone? It depends on your belief, okay? Your belief. And the second point over here is socio-cultural issues. In designing a course, socio-cultural issue is also important. Okay, your belief about these socio-cultural issues like gender differences, attitudes, custom, norms, and products. I did talk a little bit about attitudes, right? Whether the language is polite or not. But over here, it is more on culture, actually. Okay, socio-cultural and social and then cultural. So the issues or your beliefs about the culture, okay, the culture. Like for example, speaking and speaking. If you are teaching in boarding school, mostly they will start the greeting with like Assalamualaikum, right? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And when a person in that boarding school starts speech, they will say they will do salawat. Okay, they will thanks to God, thanks to Allah, uh, and also send salawat to the Prophet Muhammad. And if you compare the culture between American culture and also Indonesian culture, you will have conflict, okay, the conflict of cultures. But you've got to be able to have your beliefs in that situation, whether you want to use the real culture from English, from America, or even British, UK, or you will make a little bit adjustment with your beliefs that you will use Islamic values in your teaching by using culture in that school or culture in Islam, for example. So the way you speak to male, the way you speak to women, a female, okay, the way you speak to different gender, will you use the same language? The answer could be yes, could be no. Okay. It depends on you. It depends on your beliefs, the way you see the situation, the way you see the context, which one is appropriate and which one is not in that situation. So your beliefs about social culture is also important in your teaching. It's also important when you decide an activity, okay, when you design an activity for your student. Will you ask, for example, if the activity will be done in a small group? If you are teaching at boarding school where female and male, they are in different, different classroom or different position in classroom, so they will have part like women will be with women and men will be with men, so different genders like this. So will you design an activity by combining the genders? You will have a female student in that group and you will also have men student in that group, and so they will work together and discuss the topics or the lesson you provide for them. Of course not, right? Of course not if you're teaching in boarding school. So you've got to be able to see the culture behind your decision, okay, behind your decision, whether your decision will fit to the socio-cultural issue in your context, okay, or not, okay. Again, it depends on your beliefs. So that is why I say beliefs about language and other kinds of beliefs, the ideal things about teaching or learning a foreign language is important for students to know when you want to design your teaching. Okay, and let's go to the third. This third, this last is socio-political issues. Sociopolitical issues is how a given language or social group is viewed by other social groups. Access to language services and a critical awareness of how language is used. Do you understand that? So socio-political issues is on how the social group is viewed by other social groups. So you will think about different point of view, okay, different point of view in different community, in different groups. Again, the examples for boarding school, I think that's going to be best for this. I think you also need, not I think, but actually you should have your knowledge, you should have an experience. You've got to find out the issues about social political things in your context, okay, your context in your school, how the language used by a specific group, and if you compare to another group or another community, will it be different or not? And what about your teaching? If you are teaching American or you are teaching Indonesian, or for example, you are teaching adults, okay? So that those kind of groups I mentioned, American, Indonesian, adults, and other teenagers or even child, okay? Um, you will have different view for that, okay? You will have different view. Will you teach or will you design a course for people in different options, or will you design a course for different people with different religion, for example, okay, different religion? So you should have your beliefs in that. The way you articulate the beliefs will depend on this social political issues too. Okay, the way you decide. Do not ever use, for example, you can use a Muslim textbook for Christian student, and you know the content of those books are different, right? So when you teach different regions, different religion, and they are in different regions, for example, will you use the same materials? Will you design the same things like you design? Like the things you design for the practice teaching, you've got to think about that. Okay. Well, I think that's clear for beliefs about social context of language. We'll go to this learning and learners. Okay. Learning and learners. That is number 3. Okay. Number 3. Your view of learning and learners. Okay. Here. I hope you still have spirit to listen to me, my students. Actually, I should not. I could actually not record myself for telling you the content of the books or the materials. The idea of the topics mentioned or informed to you in our syllabus, but I just believe, okay, my belief is that I should give my explanation to you so that maybe you will understand more from the explanation than when you read a book. Okay, so that's why please listen to me. Okay, listen to me, my students. I hope you can understand. Belief about language and learners. Another kind of beliefs that you will need to design a course, to design syllabus, to design your lesson plan. Okay, design your lesson plan is to make your beliefs get involved in your decision. The beliefs about learning, beliefs about learners, and over here I provide you sub points. The first is learning a process of problem solving discovery by learner. This is actually uh, the way I try to lead you to learning on how that you may have to believe about perfect learning. So the best learning it is learning actually a process of problem solving. If you think that learning is problem solving, you'll think about problem solving thing for learning. You will design, of course, you will design your class with problem solving activities, right? Problem solving activity on how the student can find their own knowledge about specific things, and maybe also the methods you use in your classroom, the techniques you have, and also an approach, and also drills, what kind of drills and tasks or activities for your class. You will make it suitable with your beliefs, because you believe that learning is problem solving. Of course, you will not lead them. Okay, you will not do the same thing I do right now. Right now, I do not use problem solving method. Okay, so I do not let you to find it out yourself, but I give you the knowledge. Okay, I give you the knowledge. If the learning is the problem solving and discovery about learner, it means that you are doing inductive process. Inductive process. So learning is in an inductive process. But if you do things like what I do, what I'm doing right now, process learning itself is process of applying receive knowledge or deductive process. So I believe that my learners will understand my explanation. So I give the explanation first, and after that, my student will receive that knowledge and they will apply the knowledge to design course later on. So that kind of process, that kind of learning is called as deductive process. Okay. And from these two different kinds of learning, which one is yours, my students? Which one is your belief? Do you believe in number one, inductive process, or will you believe in deductive process? Which one is your belief? Okay, it depends on you. Okay, I'm not saying number one is right, number two is wrong, or number two is right and number one is wrong. Because again, every teacher, every human being will have different belief. Okay, what you believe, you've got to consider the context, and by the time you think that your belief is okay for that context, you may do it. You may do it, okay? And here, involving intelligence. And how can you see your learners? What is your beliefs about learners? Should they be involved in every activities in your design? In your teaching. If you have pre-teaching, will you involve them in pre-teaching, or will you not involve them in that kind of activity? It depends on your beliefs again. Okay. Will you involve intelligence? Intelligence, kinesthetic and other intelligence, visual, auditory. Jadi banyak ya kalau intelligence di sini, banyak jenisnya. Will you involve and you believe in those intelligence to be practiced in your class? If you see different intelligences of students, of course that you will design specific teaching for every type. Okay, every type of students intelligence. If they are in auditory style, you will provide teacher for that. And if your students are visual learners, of course that you will make adjustment. You will create or design your teaching for visual students. Will you do that? I don't know. Okay, it depends on your belief. Cognitive process. Will you see learning as a cognitive process? If you believe on that cognitive process, you'll have different design. Okay, different design. If we compare to intelligence, okay, you will have different design. If you design for intelligence, you have A, for example. If you are designing for a cognitive process, you believe that learning is a cognitive process, you will have different design. So every different design or every different development for your design, for your curriculum, it depends on your belief, okay? It depends on your belief, my students. It depends on your belief, teachers. And here, learners are teachers' partners. This is only a question. I didn't say that you should see a learner as your partner, okay? Will you see your student as partner? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. If you believe that learners are your partner, maybe you will work together, okay, work together in every activity. I don't know what kind of design you may have. Uh, if you think that teacher is here and the learner is here, of course that you will have like, I believe you understand. I believe you understand what I'm talking. Okay, will you believe that students and teacher, this is students and this is teacher like this, so they are in the same line and they can work together as partner or not? Or will you see this is teacher, this is students, or even this is student and this is teacher? It depends. Okay, if you have already gathered information about your students, that your students are cleverer than you, what can you do? Sometimes our students are much more clever, okay, much more cleverer than us, than teacher. Or maybe your student's English is better your English, I mean, than your English. And in that situation or in that context, when you have your student's English is much better than yours, of course that the design of your teaching will also be different, right? So you will not do the same activities you have in low English proficiency of students. You will have it different, okay? You should have it different, okay? If you do not have it different, the different ways or a different approach for your students, maybe your learners will see you down, okay? My English teacher is not, it's not good, could be like that statement, okay? So you've got to think better, okay? You've got to consider this kind of belief, okay? How do you see your learners? And your beliefs, again, your beliefs about teaching, your beliefs about teacher, your beliefs about learners, you've got to involve the context, okay? Context of your learning. So context, we talked about that in the previous video, that contextual analysis is important, okay, to know the real or the actual condition or the actual situation for your teaching. Okay, I think this is clear, and this is actually not too difficult to be understood. Beliefs about teaching. Just now we talk about learning, and right now we talk about teaching. Is teacher expert? If you believe that teacher is an expert, of course that the teacher should be smart, right? A teacher can explain anything, okay? A teacher can provide answers for every problem. Will you believe that a teacher is expert and is an expert? It depends on your belief. If you do not believe that teacher is not expert, or teacher is only a partner of students, so we can discuss the answers together. We can find the answers together. I can find the answers together with my students. I will read the books. I'm also learning. I am learner, okay? Teacher is learner. Learner is teacher, okay? Do you believe that kind of words like teacher is learner, and learner is teacher? Will you believe that? If you believe that, of course, that the way you design the course, the way you design activities for your students will also different. If you think that the sole expert in the class is only you as teacher, when you believe that the only one who is expert, who has expertise in teaching and also expertise in English, it's only you, teacher. Of course, that your design will be very different if you think that your learners is also expert. Your learners are teacher. Okay, if you believe that your learners are teacher, maybe you can have different activities like they can teach you something, or you will ask your students to explain something. Okay, if you only believe that teacher is the only expert, you will, okay, you will explain anything to your teacher. or maybe not. Okay, it depends on you whether you believe that teacher is expert or the only expert in the classroom or not. And the second is the role of the teacher to provide answers, or is it to provide structures for finding answers? Okay, this is also the things I mentioned before. Okay, will you answer every question from your students, or you will provide like the premise or kind of step to find the answers, and then your student will find the answer by themselves. So you only facilitate them and help them to find the answer, but the answer is the job of students to find. I don't know. It depends on your belief. And again, remember, your beliefs about that will influence your design. Your course design will influence the way you design your teaching. And the next is, does the teacher, the sole decision maker, will you design anything of rules in your class, anything of anything, okay, anything in your teaching, you yourself as teacher, you will discuss with your students. Are you a democratic person in making decision or not? Okay, it depends on your belief. If you know the real context and you know the condition of your class, you know your students, and maybe you may become a democratic one or maybe not. Okay, the decision, the way you articulate your beliefs, you've got to be able to make adjustment. Okay, adjustment, and you've got to consider the situation in your class. And last is the teacher a learner? Okay, I mentioned this before. Are you a learner, teacher, or you are only teacher? It depends on your belief. Here, how many more slides they have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, four more. 4 more slides. Okay. I'll make it short, I think. Dennis Lawson believes in advanced writing course. This is from Graves, and my intention to show you this is to let you know on how beliefs can be articulated in curriculum. And over here, let us read together. A learner-centered curriculum, so that's number 1. A learner-centered curriculum, the development of a community of learners who support each other's learning process, emphasis on cooperation in the place of competition, student participation in course content, process, and assessment, use of feedback as means of course evaluation. So you may see over here that the development of community learners, competition. So this teacher believed that having competition is good in teaching. Students' participation in, so the students will participate. If you believe that your students should participate in the classroom in every process of your learning, in your teaching, maybe this kind of teacher is a learner center. Not maybe, but should be, okay? Should be a person who believe in learner-centered curriculum. If you believe in learner-centered curriculum, you will see different approach or different view of your teaching, the way you teach your students and the way you involve your students, because it is here learner-centered. Of course, that the student will take a big portion of participation, so your students will participate a lot in the teaching process. And look at the next example on how that a teacher can articulate the beliefs in meaning-centered curriculum. If your beliefs in meaning-centered curriculum will be applied in teaching, it could be like this in the applications of the curriculum. Development of course content relevant to students' needs and interests, incorporation of social offer issues of second language learning. I think this is clear. Process-centered curriculums is the next example. Use of 5-step process writing model. Use of self-assessment as well as assessment by peers and teacher. Final assessment based on progress, participation, and performance. So process-centered curriculum. So you will have your students to get involved in processes of your teaching every day. Since this is writing, I think this is writing class. Yes, articles. Use five-step process writing models. Use of self-assessment. Self-assessment. So over here, the teacher wants her student to get involved in assessment. So student will assess their own work in writing. And here, in clear articulation of roles and teachers and students. Students as managers. Students as managers. Will you, my student, think that you are the managers or I am the manager? It depends on your beliefs, okay? It depends on your beliefs. Students as managers of their own learning via learner strategic training and as resources for their peers. Teacher as curriculum designer and articulator of goals and objectives, and tertius resource coordinator of positivities, participant in assessment process, and co-learners. Okay, these are only examples. Okay, examples on how that Dennis. So the owner of this writing is Dennis Lawson believes. Okay, so these are the beliefs of Dennis Lawson in advanced writing course. Okay, we continue to this. Hawkins elements of teaching. Here, David Hawkins provided us with a figure. And over here, there is a triangle. You may see there is a triangle in every corner. We can see teacher. So I is the teacher, and IT is subject matter, and so is learners. And the other circle. So there is a circle covering the triangle, and the circle means context. Actually, we talk about this, right? We talk about this in previous meetings. That you as teacher and also the subject matters and they are integrated in each other. And when you design a course, when you design your teaching, you've got to involve these three, you've got to involve these three, and then you've got to have your own beliefs and think about the context. Okay, do not forget the context or the environments or the thing that I mentioned in the previous presentation as contextual analysis. Okay, so your analysis of the context. Okay, that's it. And here I have two pictures, beliefs and course design. So number one is teaching picture, and the second one is a cloud. How to believe affect the actual designing of course? How to beliefs and course design. So the beliefs will help us to make decisions or articulate our beliefs, and then we make choices for the actions, and we apply that. We will apply our beliefs in actual teaching. So that's the functions of beliefs. How do we believe affect the actual design? Yes. And the second is thought. The thought over here, present in your thought or analyze your decision. So this is actually the location of the beliefs. So the beliefs is in your thought, okay, and analyze your decision. So every decision you've made, you will have your beliefs in that, whether you realize that or not, because the beliefs will help you to make decision for every action you have. Well, students, I think that's all about my presentation, my explanations of our topic. Hopefully you can understand it better than when you compare to reading a book, okay? Uh, because in book there are a lot of pages to read, right? Actually, you can understand that too. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.